Hey, so welcome back to Unredacted Feather. So glad that you're watching. We've got something a little bit unusual today to show you, and that is a police chase. A police chase that involves a ton of law enforcement vehicles and a big cargo truck that somebody is driving, and you're not going to believe what you're going to see coming up in this thing. So this.
Yeah.
Amazingly began in Tampa, Florida, which is about 2 hours south of Gainesville on Interstate 75. And what happened as a result of this chase is a lot of law enforcement vehicles, troopers, various counties joined in this chase as they approached Gainesville. Okay, Gainesville is located in Alachua County. It is kind of in the center of the state on the northern part, and where the University of Florida and the Mighty Gators are located. So we pick up this chase as it's coming into to Gainesville, and the first thing you're going to see is a whole bunch of law enforcement officers in their vehicles chasing, and you're going to see a sign that says Archer Road exit. So I'm going to follow along with you. The chase where the deputy, looks like an Alachua County Sheriff's Office deputy, has joined in the chase to the rear of a number of troopers and other law enforcement agency vehicles. You can see the exit sign coming up on the right side that says this is the Archer Road exit. And so this cargo truck elects to get off at the Archer Road exit into a very congested area with cars everywhere. And what the driver does apparently catches all of law enforcement off guard. So here we go. We're coming off the exit ramp. The cargo truck's headed down the exit ramp. And it appears there has been no preparation by law enforcement to stop this vehicle as it enters into this very congested area of Archer Road. He just blasts right through the red light. Police officer in tow. Obviously, the officers have to observe some measure of safety and are trying not to cause a collision, whereas this cargo truck appears to have no concerns for anybody's safety or well-being. And then crazily, he enters onto the South 75 exit ramp. So he turns right, going the wrong way onto Interstate 75, which throws these law enforcement officers off. They don't know what to do. So they take off to apparently go the right way, the correct direction of travel onto northbound I-75. Now, it changes vehicles here. We've got a different law enforcement officer vehicle following this. So now you see there's only one cop behind the guy who apparently got near the end of the southbound exit ramp and then turned around. So we're back now on Archer Road. Westbound Archer Road. You can hear the officers saying westbound Archer Road, westbound Archer Road. So he's lost a number of these patrol vehicles. They've all gone the wrong direction. And here he goes into a fairly congested area. You can see him going the wrong way on Archer Road, running the red light. Amazingly, somehow goes through all of these vehicles. Right into a shopping area known as Celebration Point in Gainesville. And it looks like, to me, that there are only a few officers behind him at this point. For reasons nobody knows, he just turns around. Apparently, he thinks he's going to outrun these law enforcement officers in this cargo truck. I'm not sure his thinking's clear on that, but what is clear is that he basically has a tank. And you're going to see that coming up when he bounces off of cars and other things that we'll see here. So he runs through another red light. We've got now a bunch of vehicles, law enforcement vehicles, back in tow. And just watch this. Unbelievable. How does this guy get this truck through this traffic? It looks impossible. I mean, I don't know if he trained as a NASCAR driver, but I don't think they use cargo trucks like this when they're driving for NASCAR. So it's unbelievable. You see the pit maneuver there. The officer tries to pit maneuver. It rocks the truck, but the guy maintains control, drives effectively through this insane amount of traffic. It's just amazing. And as you can imagine, law enforcement must just be exacerbated. What are we going to do here? We gotta save these people. But they're absolutely unable to stop this car or this cargo van at this point. So he continues to weave through traffic. He's running over medians. You can see it. And by this time, obviously, there's a ton of law enforcement back behind him once again. So he's pulling into Best Buy, another retail shopping area, and he just takes a hard right here, and watch what he does to this thing. Oh, they try to pit him. They try to pit maneuver him there. Not successful, and he just heads up into the traffic. And look at that car. Just bounces right off of it, rips off the side. And there we go. So the police are trying to chase him. They're chasing him through the parking lot. What's very interesting here is that this officer, the deputy that you can see, takes a different route. So you got a trooper to the right, you got a deputy in a Suburban or a Tahoe to the left, and he comes out and he tries to crash this truck right here. You'll see it. He smashes the car and drives it into a citizen's vehicle there. And that's actually a friend of ours' car, and he was injured pretty badly in this accident. So then he continues, and by this time it looks like law enforcement has effectively stopped a lot of the traffic from moving into the area of this chase. He's going down the wrong side of Archer Road. If you're familiar with Gainesville at all, this will be coming up to 34th Street on the left-hand side. And you can see there are cops ahead of them, but they're not, they're not putting themselves in harm's way, that's for sure. You can hear the communications between the officers as to the location of the vehicle. My goodness, the number of people that were affected by this and saw it on this date. And he's still going. And they're still trying to stop him. There he goes. Bam! Tearing down road signs, going into the wrong side of traffic. It's truly, a wonderful example of the grace of God and the protection that we have. Sometimes inexplicable, as this guy's just totally out of control, while being in control at the same time. Again, his driving is incredible. And again, we see the officers, they're pulling into a little shopping center here, and the officer's trying to drive this truck over, but they can't stop the truck. It's too much weight, too much suspension. They just can't slow it down. So he's weaving through the parking lot. We've got cops everywhere. They're stopping. This officer endangered himself trying to slow the truck down. Didn't do much. Here he comes back out into the street, and for reasons that aren't really fully understood, maybe he's tired, I don't know, he jumps out of the vehicle and tries to make a run for it, and bam! He gets hit by the car. Unbelievable. There's the dogs, there's the officer, and this guy, you can see him. Actually, if you slow down the video, go back and look at it, I think he gets his pants knocked off. But obviously we have some excited and probably at this point very relieved officers that this incredibly dangerous driver and the vehicle he's in are stopped and he is apprehended. An amazing story. And there it is. He's in custody. They've got him handcuffed, they've got him secured, and amazingly, you hear what this guy says? I'm going to pause it for just a second, because I think it's the first thing he says, and we're going to put the words up on the screen for you, is, I don't blame the police. I ain't blame the police. They just protecting the people. Because y'all did your jobs. Amazing. who acts like that. So not only is he a great driver, but apparently he is apologetic for the things that he's done. And he says, I ain't blaming you guys. I don't blame the police for doing their job. And all right, so we've gone back and we've pulled a copy of the arrest report. And what we learned is that from this chase occurred between 5 a.m. and ended, according to the report, at 7:27 a.m. That's when he was taken into custody, placed into handcuffs. Now, here's an interesting little tidbit. Apparently, after they placed him in the back of this patrol vehicle, he was able to get his handcuffs from behind him to the front of him, and he starts pulling the wires loose in the police car, disabling the recording device in the back of the trooper's vehicle. So I just want to go through now the charges that this fella faced. And by the way, his name is Brandon Baker. And Brandon Baker was 34 years old at the time that this happened. And the charges that he is currently facing, this case is still ongoing. He's charged with aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, firefighter, or EMT times 4, grand theft of a motor vehicle, grand theft auto, larceny of a credit card, suspended or revoked. He's not even lawfully operating a motor vehicle, although I doubt that's his biggest concern at this point. Reckless driving, hit and run, leaving the scene of the crash times 3, larceny for theft. It was actually a carjacking, we've learned. Damage to the property, criminal mischief, resisting an officer, aggravated battery on an officer, firefighter, and aggravated battery on an officer, firefighter. So 2 counts of that. So a total of 16 charges that were actually pursued by the police. Okay, so 3 of the charges, interestingly enough, were dismissed. 2 of the aggravated batteries on a law enforcement officer and 1 resisting an officer. So what has happened since this time? Well, the case has been ongoing for quite a while. This happened in August of 2022. So the case, the docket, what we call a docket, shows a number of pages. Okay, we got a ton of pages of the docket, and the case is still ongoing. Evidently, there is presently a hearing set to determine whether or not this man is competent to stand trial. So in the state of Florida, and I believe throughout the United States, one must be, if you're not competent, if you can't adequately assist your attorney, if you can't adequately behave in court, there are several criteria. And if those are not satisfied and the court is convinced that the person is not competent to stand trial, there will be no trial. Okay, so in the event that Mr. Baker does proceed to trial and face a trial or enter a plea, he could face, obviously, a life sentence. If you stack these on top of each other, these numerous charges, he's going to be in prison for the rest of his natural life. On the other hand, if it's determined that he's not competent to proceed to trial, the court has some options. The court may well, and probably likely in a case such as this, would send him to a rehabilitation or treatment facility where they would try to establish his competency and essentially can hold him there for a long, long time. So the video in the car chase was brought to my attention by a friend of mine who I mentioned in the video was injured during this chase. You saw the police vehicle ram into the suspect and the suspect vehicle collide into my friend's car. So he was injured. He contacted me in relation to that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, this episode today. And if you did, please comment on that below. We'll be checking those comments. And as always, we'd ask you to like, subscribe, and share this with the people that you care about. Thank you for watching. God bless you.